Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. I'm Michael, and that's Kurzy on the other side.
How's it going?
Talking about four films, everybody. Starting off with Fritz the Cat, Ralph Bakshi's breakthrough. Uh, he's a complicated guy. Do you know anything about Ralph Bakshi?
I know a little bit of his history. I do know that he did a lot of weird pervert movies and then Lord of the Rings for some reason.
Yeah, it's so he started off one of the youngest animated directors in history. And most of that is because Paramount Studios at the time was closing down their division, basically. They were cutting the budgets down to nothing. How are you going to get somebody to direct for a budget of nothing? You get a young guy right out of college. And that was Ralph Bakshi. And so he did the Spider-Man cartoon. Everybody, the one you always see the meme of the Spider-Mans pointing at each other, that era, the 60s era Spider-Man and some other stuff. And kind of just when all that got shut down, he started looking around for his own thing. And he said, why does animation have to be just for kids? And lo and behold, working on this for years and finally got it out. And it was a massive phenomenon. It's one of those of the moment kind of things. I don't particularly think Fritz is a good movie, but it's a necessary movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it has a lot of utility in kind of like marking history in terms of it's definitely of its time. In a good way, in a lot of ways, and also in some really bad ways. It's borderline incoherent story wise.
Yeah,
It's
very
basically like it's taken from Crumb. I can't remember the guy's first name.
Robert.
Robert Crumb. Yeah. He's basically just kind of combining a bunch of his comics strips together into one movie, and it shows because it just has the character going from place to place for no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
So
Oddly
it's
enough,
kind of a weakness of the movie, but
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
The very first Peanuts movie, A Boy Named Charlie Brown, is literally just adapting a bunch of stories from the strip, whatever, and has no coherency whatsoever. Don't do this, people. They've tried it like numerous times. Just get random stories to be like almost like an anthology. No, focus, people, focus.
Yeah, essentially, Fritz is a cat, and he's sort of disillusioned with his life of just hedonistic tendencies, and he wants to be a writer, so he goes out to try to experience the real world. And that's me putting in a lot of effort to try to explain it because it doesn't explain anything. It just kind of goes.
Yeah.
And for what it is, it's okay. I think where it really shines is in sort of like creating a place. It's very 70s New York, including having just people off the street come in and just talk, and then Bakshi would record these conversations and put them into the movie, so you feel like you're there.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a real live place full of people, and that's where those are the highlights. But there's so few and far between. The rampant just sex, drugs, and violence that it's kind of gets lost. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, he's trying to be a revolutionary. He's trying to be important, but also capture what's going on with the times. And sometimes being completely naive, people are trying, get the fuck out of here. You're, like, this is insanely dangerous. You're being stupid and not, causing chaos in his wake. And it descends into some sort of weird cult, drug-induced biker thing at the end, and it's fucking bizarre. It's as if Hunter S. Thompson made an animated movie. If you love Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I'm gonna guess you're gonna like Fritz the Cat.
I mean, if I had to try to give it its best pitch, I would say that it is sort of a commentary about fake revolutionaries, people who have these grandiose ideas about themselves, about politics, about religion, about societal issues, and then putting themselves at the forefront of it, at the sacrificing the movement as a whole for self-aggrandizement. Because as Fritz goes places, he always makes something about himself, and then everyone else suffers because of it.
And it's something still relevant today. I see it all the time. People who say they're liberal and leftist, and it's just to get attention. Or this is a thing I think some guys do. They lie to get girls. And then when they're
Yeah.
rejected, all of a sudden they turn like, well, I'm conservative now. No, dude, you were always conservative. You just didn't think you'd be accepted if you announced that, like, Musk.
Right, yeah. So it definitely is making that commentary. Like the kind of the first incident that happens is that he's in college and he's playing guitar to try to get chicks, and then they're college liberated women, and they're talking about the plight of the poor black man, with like talking down to this guy who's just minding his own business. Talking about like, oh, it must be so hard to be you, and it's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And so then he adopts a like very new age hippie-ish, oh, life is suffering, let me show you the ways of enlightenment and things like that, like just as a ploy to sleep with these women. So it clearly has, it's tried to say something, but it never really hits the mark.
And that's actually kind of the curse of Bakshi in the 70s. It's this, Heavy Traffic, Hey Good Looking, Street Fight, aka Coonskin. A lot of them are really rambly, but also they just struggle getting the budget. He actually is a very interesting animator, but he didn't get the money to do what he wanted to do, even after doing Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was, have you seen his version?
Just bits and pieces.
Yeah, he was never able to finish it. He's trying to do this epic animated film on like a budget of $3.5 million or something, like really low, and having to cut so many corners, and he never got to finish it, even though it made a lot of money considering. And his next one is American Pop, which is his only film, I believe. His true vision is there. It is not compromised financially or story-wise. That's his best fucking movie, and it is sadly forgotten. It's an animated masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, for what it is, for its time period, like I think we can both agree it has worth, but it's just not like super entertaining. Like, oh, let's throw this on at a party and have a good time. Like, it's not one of those.
Yeah. There's a sequel to this a few years later. It had no involvement with anybody, really. They just owned the rights, and they both basically washed their hands of it. And instead of having any message whatsoever, even if it's convoluted, they ditched it in the second movie and just made it like basically animated porn.
Yeah.
Pure exploitation right there. What is our next film?
Let's go with Boxcar Bertha.
I had seen this. I was kind of on a David Carradine kick about 20-something years ago. I had bought his book, Endless Highway, around 99, 2000. And I just like, fuck it. I don't know any of these movies except like Lone Wolf McQuade, so let's go find it. And this is when Netflix had just started. So I'm going through whatever they had, and I found Boxcar Bertha. And I'm shocked that I didn't remember a thing from it. And well, the thing is that he made two movies that are kind of about the same era. He made the movie about Woody Guthrie, called Bound for Glory, from Hal Ashby, and that one, same era. And then he did one called Americana, which isn't the same era, but has that feel of small town America in the past and stuff like that. So I think I conflated all three of them together. So
have you seen his cinematic masterpiece, Evil Tunes?
Okay, I wasn't exactly expecting that. Have I seen Evil Tunes? I know I saw it before I ever read the book. We rented it on Bad Movie Night around 93, 94, but I don't remember anything about it.
Okay, well, it's just born with David Carradine showing up for about 3 seconds for a paycheck.
Yeah, and that was that era. Before Kill Bill came along to save his career, that's what he was doing for a decade.
It's like when everyone was trying to do oh man, what was that? I want to say his name was David Cameron, but Cameron Mitchell. Everyone was trying to like do one of those where it's just like, I'm just going to show up, I'm just going to sit in a chair for 3 minutes and let them film me and then give me a paycheck. And I'll call that a movie.
That's amazing. You even know who Cameron Mitchell is. I'm impressed. So his father actually kind of was the progenitor of this. John Carradine was a guy who was in A-list movies. Like during the 40s and 50s, and eventually he just took everything. So by the early 60s, there's hardly anything worth So when he shows up in Boxcar Bertha, I almost wonder if David got him the job, because this is a legit film. And yes,
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, this is only his second film and it's an independent movie, but this is high quality. I mean, they have to cut
Yeah.
corners financially, but this is a great fucking movie.
Yeah, it is a film about how I know it's going to sound like I'm talking about today, about corporations basically destroying unions and trying to flex their power over the worker, and trying to get them to trying to pay them less, take their resources to enrich themselves.
Well, it's
And
funny though,
it's
if you think about it, his father was in Grapes of Wrath playing a character who was trying to form a union and gets killed. But that is weird. That
yeah,
now
right.
now the casting definitely seems intentional.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's about Bertha and some other people, union leader, farmhand, basically coming together and robbing the rich. And that's essentially what most of the movie is. It's interesting. It reminds me of it's a more hopeful, weirdly, a more hopeful version of the movie Banquet of Beasts, a Japanese movie from like 2000. Have you heard that one?
No, I have not.
Okay, that one's really good, but it's more of like the dark side of
Yeah.
like when movements fall apart
Oh,
due to
okay.
infighting and all that kind of shit. Boxcar Bertha is a little more hopeful in just kind of this ragtag group of people, working together to try to make it on their own without really having to rely on these evil corporate owners.
Yeah, it starts off like it starts with her story, like they're working on a farm, and that's kind of how the whole group is together. And her father is telling them that he can't take another flight, the plane isn't stable enough, and they're forcing him if he wants to get paid. He gets, even if he's halfway done, it doesn't matter. You have to finish the whole thing. You ain't getting shit. And so he does, and he gets killed. And then so Bertha, for the first time in her life, is on her own. And it's her journey as basically
Yeah,
she's almost a baby, even though she's clearly like 20, but she's been coddled her whole life and protected. And this slow evolution of her not discovering her independence, discovering her sexuality, discovering her strength. And there's so much heartbreak and struggles. And I just, Barbara Hershey was 100% the right person to cast in this.
yeah. And it's also it's good because these guys, I know they're robbing the rich and pointing guns at people, but they never intend to hurt anybody. Like you can tell, even the way that they talk to people when they're threatening them is never actually threatening. It's almost like comedic. In fact, there's a scene where they're robbing a train, where the farmhand has like a platter that he's going around taking people's watches. And you can see one of the extras in the background's like laughing as this is happening. I don't know if that was just a mistake, or if because he's so charming when he's doing it, as he's got a shotgun in one hand and a silver platter on the other. It's a beautiful scene. I really like how they handled that.
And Bernie Casey's basically the MVP of this. A guy who you kind of saw here and there, like from Revenge of the Nerds, I'm going to get you, sucker, but never really got to be the lead I think that he deserved. But he's very good in this, and he's essentially the hero of this movie.
Yeah.
I really wish that David Carradine was this hungry. There's something that stopped in the late 70s. I don't know what it was, but he just stopped wanting to be a good actor and just phoning it in for so long. And whatever it was that Tarantino saw in him, I don't know what role it was that made him say, "Oh yeah, he can play Bill." Most of the time when David Carradine's on screen, even if it's a good movie, he's still playing that stone-faced, monotone character he played on Kung Fu. Not so much here. This is before Kung Fu, the year before it, and he's got life in him, and I wish I saw more of that.
Yeah, I know. If you imagine David Carradine, you don't really think someone who would lead a group of people to rise up against their bosses and the police. Like it doesn't feel in line with who you think of David Carradine as. But it really works in this, and I love the sort of push and pull of the movie. So there's a section where they're reading a newspaper about themselves, and they go into detail into every person that's a part of the group. And it almost gives they almost give positive press to everybody except for one of the guys who basically calls him a coward because he never carries a gun when he does the robberies.
Yeah.
And in his head, he's sort of he's already actually killed someone before with Bertha early on in the movie, and so he kind of he kind of like almost wants to be more violent as a result. Like he wants to be more famous than that.
Yeah.
And this is someone who's kind of been talked down to a lot in the movie. Because he's a northerner, but he's in the South, and at this time they really don't like northerners in the South.
Get out of here, you Yankee!
Yeah. So he's always being pushed around, and there's this really interesting conversation that's happening with David Carradine's character about like, well, I don't consider myself a criminal. Like, you killed somebody. And it's like, well, what do we do? Like, we're robbing all the time. That's how we live. Like we can't just start judging each other like this.
The funny thing is, they could have stopped after the first robbery. $600 a piece back then was a lot of money.
Yes.
But
it was more, but that's what I kind of like about it. It was more like the anarchist spirit of what they were going for.
Well, I think they had a little bit of a thrill in it too.
Yeah, of course.
I'm actually shocked. I know this is based on a true story, but I'm actually shocked by the ending. How open it was. Like, there's no follow-up on what happened to Boxcar Bertha, the rest of her life, anything follow-up on any of the other characters, anything. And it just kind of, it is, I am spoiling this shit right now because it's a 50-year-old movie. David Carradine gets fucking crucified on the side of a train. Is he actually dead? Do you die from that? That's just like through the hands. I didn't see a whole lot of blood pouring out. Is he still alive and the train just takes off and she's running after him? And that's the end of the fucking movie.
He was alive. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw his thumb twitch at the very end. How do you leave a movie like that? That's so bizarre.
Yeah, that's it. It just like, it's him on the train going down the tracks, crucified, and then it just ends. Like, what? Why? Why here? What is this?
I wonder if there's a book out there about her life or some sort of follow-up. I want to know what happens after that with her. Does she become a leader for unions? Does she go to her quiet place? Does she get him off there and he heals and they just go hide for the rest of their days? I don't know. Are they being hunted because they're involved in all that shooting? What happened to Bernie Casey's character? Does he help them? I gotta know.
I know, yeah. It's really good. The ending leaves something to be desired, but other than that, I think it's a great film.
And you see in that final shootout, Scorsese's playing with some new camera work that really hadn't been done before. At most, Hitchcock had attempted some of it, and like the style of moving the camera as they were being shot backwards, and the editing style. He was going for something much more modern than what was going on at the time.
Yeah. See, this was one, like, what was the other one that we watched recently of his?
Mean Streets.
Yeah, Mean Streets, definitely Scorsese. This one, not so much. I think there's definitely a little, like, some inklings here and there, but, like, I didn't even know Scorsese did this movie until you said that.
Oh,
but,
wow,
like,
okay.
Now that you say that, like, I do kind of get a little bit of it, but...
Yeah, it Mean Streets, like we talked about, that's like his coming out party. This is his style, this is his voice, that kind of thing. This is one for hire. Roger Corman knew him from another film, said you could do this. So it's not really his project. It's one of those for hire. Bogdanovich had this for his first couple movies through Corman, where they're not really his voice, but hey, I'm a kid straight out of college. I need a job.
Yeah, exactly.
And Roger Corman does get credit for that, and deservedly so, but I'm telling you, fast forward a decade, and there's really nothing to talk about with his movies anymore. It's the 70s, the late 60s and 70s is where he's finding all those legendary stars and directors.
So you're talking about Corman?
Yeah, I mean, some people give him so much credit. I was like, yeah, but post 1983, no. I'm not gonna exude the joys of Carnosaur on this show. Blood Fist, anybody?
Yeah, like since the 80s, what was his biggest project since then was like the Fantastic Four movie that never got made,
probably
or never got released.
Yeah, it's either that or Carnosaur. I have no idea, or Sharktopus.
Yeah.
But he's legitimately. Well, this is weird. So this is when he's still doing movies for other studios as well. So the demands are different. This is for American International Pictures. He does a bunch for Fox during the 70s. But if it's for his own studio, it's real questionable. At this point, he's doing like $100,000 student nurses, and there's tons and tons of nudity. There is nudity in this, but there's a point. It
handles it very gracefully because it's all like you were saying earlier, like one of the things about this movie is about her discovering her sexuality. So like her having sex with David Carradine makes sense in the movie, and like how it's handled is very respectful and very mature.
Yeah. Well, and there's this sequence towards the end where she is a prostitute, a sex worker. I'm not going to say prostitute anymore. That's stupid. Prostitutes are what our politicians are. She's a sex worker, and they don't really shame her. They don't try to force it that she feels bad about it. The only thing that she has is this longing for David Carradine. That's it. She doesn't feel she enjoys the sex. She enjoys the people, and those people are kind to her. There's no like, oh, warning, if you go into sex work, they're gonna beat you. And no, they're all very kind to her.
I mean, that does happen for sure in that industry, but
Yes.
there's also these stories. It kind of reminded me of Poor Things, because Poor Things, there's like the last hour is like the main character as a prostitute, and you're sort of like learning her journey through that, and it's kind of similar to that. You just kind of get weird clients who have like specific fetishes or ideas, and you're like, okay, I'll roll with that. That's okay, fine, fuck it. And then in this movie, when she meets back up with her friends, they don't give a shit about her journey, because they've all been through their own stories and their own journeys, so they don't judge each other, and that's also kind of a plot that kind of goes through, like I was saying earlier about the guy who's like, well, you can't judge us. Like, yeah, I murdered somebody, but that was self-defense. So, and you rob people. Let's not judge each other.
Yeah, but a lot of it comes down to Scorsese not judging any of these characters.
Right. Yeah.
Because another director could have done it either exploitation or cautionary tale. He just does. It's as is.
Yeah, almost like, oh, you got what you deserve. Like, you were taking advantage of people, now people are taking advantage of you. Like, you could have seen someone who can handle this material with less maturity or less grace, but he nailed it.
So I want to talk about the next movie, which is a very complicated story, and the way the director handles it in Report to the Commissioner, which, until I watched Marathon Man, our final film, I would have guaranteed you Report to the Commissioner is my favorite movie of the 70s. It is one of my absolute top favorite films of all time, maybe the best cop movie I've ever seen, and nobody knows what the fuck this movie is. It was not successful. It was lost on VHS forever, and only now just came out on Blu-ray and streaming, and you may not see this because I know it didn't get the best reviews. I absolutely love this fucking movie.
I was going to say, I was very bored for like the first act, but once it got going, I was enthralled. I couldn't stop watching.
And I think that might be what hurts it. So it's based on a novel, and it's about the postscript of an incident and going back on what happened. Milton Casellas directed this. This is one of the only films he ever directed. He's a legendary acting teacher out of New York. And you can see he's going through all of his students he must have had to find unknown people, in the early parts of their career, and saying, these guys are fucking amazing. You have to see them. The only person that was established at this time, I believe, was Yaphet Kotto.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else in the movie.
Yeah, so this is about 2 years after Across 110th Street. And I think I mentioned on the last episode, this is the closest thing to a sequel. And this feels like 10 years after Across 110th Street. Like, he's much older. He's had the leadership skills now. His name, I think, is first. He really isn't in much of it until the very end.
It's actually kind of funny that he's in the first section with a new cop who's kind of just a dumb guy, but wants to be a good person. Like, he generally is like in the business of being a cop because he actually cares about people and wants to help. And it's almost like Training Day in this first section where the other guy's just being a complete asshole, treating people like shit, and then he's like, "Why you got to do that to your own people? What's going on? Come on, let's help these people." And I love that there's a guy who is past his knees, like his legs are gone.
Oh yeah,
he's rolling around on a cart, and he's like yelling at people, asking for money, and then like the other, the guy throws his cart in the trash, and the other guy goes and takes it out. And I love that scene for like the homeless guy just looks completely devastated. He does not even fight like when the cart is thrown in the thing. He just sits there and just stares forward. Like his whole life is just gone. And so him getting him the cart back, and then later seeing him again, like, hey, can you do me a favor? And then like he'd be like, yeah, no problem. Like he doesn't ask for money, he doesn't try to exploit him. Just because he was so kind to him, he's just paying it back. I love that.
Yeah, and I think there's also a small part of him that wants to do something good because society has treated his character like he's completely and utterly useless, and he gets to do something like important. The way he
Yeah.
does it is fucking insane, and I can't believe they
It's
filmed this, and it's so dangerous.
it's a little unrealistic, but it is so much fun.
Oh my God, a car chase with him on the cart, just holding on for dear life, and just, oh my God, it was terrifying at times. Like,
Trying to use his momentum because the guy turned off, so he's like trying to use the momentum to try to catch up on a side street. Oh, it was so good.
and so it's Michael Moriarty is the main star. I don't know if he's dumb. I think he's just naive, and his father probably kept him away from it for a long time. But he has nowhere to go, so his dad's like, well, I think his dad has died, and I think that's the thing they didn't mention, and I missed it, is that his dad was kind of a legendary tough cop, and everybody respected him. But his kid will never ever be the same kind of person. And I don't know if he thought, oh, with time I'll become as good and legendary as my father, or that was never his plan, that he was always going to be the exact opposite. Because they said his dad was a hard ass, and he clearly is not. Yeah, people take advantage of him because he's so kind, and he just wants to be, a protector. He doesn't want to be the way that we see a lot of cops now. The reason why we had Black Lives Matter is a lot of cops abuse their power and they get too aggressive, and they're basically bullies from high school now given guns and legal authority.
Right. It's a different kind of. It's a philosophy of like people need protecting from themselves. Like we need to control them versus like his philosophy is like no. We should be helping them. That's our job.
Yeah. To serve and protect people. It's right there. And I just love his performance is what really captured me. I mean, he slowly wants to do something good, but then becomes kind of obsessed with Chicklet, who is an undercover cop, to the point where he's no longer thinking rationally. A lot of this movie is about characters not making correct choices and panicking. I mean, down to, I can't remember the villain's name, that Tony, Tony King.
What was his name?
Stick. I think it was Stick. Yeah. So Tony King, he makes choices at the end of the movie that make no sense to me, that just puts himself in danger. There's so many things in this that people are caught up in the moment and make bad decisions, which I like, because that's what life is.
I think that's why it was kind of a little boring for me at first. Was like, there's going to be like this big conspiracy or something like that, but no, it's just a very simple story that just has so many angles to it, and like the stakes aren't really that high, all things considered, for like an investigation movie.
Yeah.
But it's more just about the lives of these people who are caught up in something that feels so realistic, so human. Because they make mistakes that I could very easily make in that moment.
I think one of the most shocking scenes in this, though, is when you I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Huge star. It's like my mom's favorite actor besides Kevin Kline. Pretty Woman. Richard Gere. Richard Gere plays a pimp, and actually a little convincing. I was actually kind of surprised with his beard and his pimp hat and stuff like that. I'm like, wait a minute, what? The most, the big romantic lead of the 80s and 90s? What is happening here?
That was Richard Gere?
Yeah, that was Richard Gere as the pimp.
Holy shit.
And the guy with no legs on the cart was Bob Balaban, which, if you know comedy of the 90s, especially like, the Christopher Guest movies, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, he's one of those guys.
Okay.
Big improvisational actor. And I think this might be the first, what you almost would consider a parkour chase sequence. And I don't think they got a permit for some of this, because a lot of the people seem surprised by what's going on.
Yes, genuinely, like, should we be concerned?
Yeah, no matter what's in their way, they just keep going. And there's some stuff in there that's really dangerous. And I was kind of surprised. Like, oh, they're just going to run on a rooftop. Is there any safety wires? What's going on here?
Yeah, that freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, the funny thing is, you think that would be the end of the movie. But no, there is a 20-minute sequence where they're trapped in the elevator together, guns facing each other. But they're going to die because they're suffocating. It's too hot. They're being gassed. And just the meltdown that happens at the end when they're taken up to they sneak up to the basement, or the attic, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't realize the cops are already waiting for them. And Michael Moriarty's character, starts opening fire on the cops, and like, why did you do that? Because people are shooting at me.
Yeah, like what am I supposed to do? Yeah, that's the thing. Like the chase scene, which that leads to a standoff, is usually like the end of the movie. That's just the end of the second act. The last act is just them in the elevator trying to deal with and the cops trying to deal with that situation, and Kane or not Kane Stick realizing there's no way out of this. Like trying to figure out like how the hell am I gonna get out of this, knowing that he won't, and just sort of both of them sort of like sitting with that reality of
Yeah.
like there's no way out of here.
And it's funny, and even after that, you think it'd be over, but no, there's this whole thing at the end where, and I thought this was based on a true story, the way that it breaks down. They're telling him what happened. He freaks out. They put him in jail. There's the legal discussions. You're gonna resign. You're gonna get demoted. We're gonna pin it on him. And they decide, well, no, we're not gonna pin it on him because no one's gonna believe that. Whatever. And it's just, and then he fucking hangs himself in the end, and that's how the movie ends. Boxcar Bertha, report to the commissioner, which has the most shocking ending.
Yeah, it's a really good thriller. It takes a little bit to kind of establish itself in terms of like where we're going and what's going on. But yeah, I love movies like this that don't have these world-ending stakes, that kind of deal with the reality that human beings are messy and fuck up constantly, and having those be sort of the hinging consequences. And just like, and also just things like the people in the background looking at it from the political lens of like, why don't we just say the guy went crazy? Why don't we just kill them both? Say he went crazy, shot him, and then we shot him. It's like, no, we can't. You can't do that. Are you insane? Like, they have these very real conversations about like how we can deal with this.
Yeah,
and I absolutely love. Like, you don't see that too much.
There is a sequence at the end when Yaphet Kotto goes to visit him in jail, and he's kind of staring off into space and asking like these questions, like these deep, deep questions. Why was I put here? What are we doing on this planet? And then you're like, okay, so he's either going to end up in a mental hospital or he's going to kill himself. You kind of see it coming in his behavior. And, it's not going to be some happy, hey, you got out of jail, because there's no way to resolve this in a happy way, because, yeah, he became obsessed and made terrible decisions and got her killed. He never should have opened fire when she was in the room with him.
Right, and that's the thing, that he probably is the one that shot her too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I think that is exactly what happened, and it's not. I don't think it's even mentioned. I think they question like, did he shoot her? Or did Stick shoot her? Like, I don't even think they know.
No, it's when he dives for cover and his gun is still above the couch and he shoots before he goes completely under, and that's what hit her.
Yeah, so it's and again, like, it makes sense for this movie, this character, why he kills himself at the end, not just because we need a depressing, downer, shocking ending. It's like, to him, his life is over. Even if he gets like off on all of the crimes, he killed a woman. Yeah. He's never going to get over that.
And so that brings us to our final film. This is the longest episode I think we've done in years.
These are all great movies.
Yeah,
well, I mean, Fritz the Cat. There's a lot to say about it. It's not great, though.
Marathon Man. Look, this is the difference between the other ones. I think those are all independent movies, so they could take the risk. Marathon Man feels like a very risky independent movie, and maybe at the time it was like really groundbreaking, but of course we've seen decades and decades of conspiracy movies since then, so it didn't feel all that fresh. But also at the same time, I just thought it was an amazing movie, but clearly a studio film designed to make the crowd walk out going, yeah, he kicked some ass. That was woo, wow, But was this the first time you've seen this? This was my first time.
No, this is my second time.
Okay. There's a few from this era everybody talks about. 3 Days of the Condor and Parallax View, Marathon Man. Like, those are the conspiracy theory movies you got to see from this era, and it's all going to be fresh for me. Lee Strasberg. Holy shit. Or no, not Lee Strasberg. I'm sorry. Laurence Olivier, considered the world's greatest actor, giving a fucking phenomenal performance and freaking me the hell out. Look, I've seen that thing where he goes, is it safe? Like, I've seen the clips. They reference it in Gremlins 2.
See, actually, what made me watch this is so stupid. Did you see the Clerks animated TV show?
Yeah, I did. Was there a reference?
Okay, they made a reference to this, and I always thought that scene was funny, and then I read that it was from the movie Marathon Man, so that's what made me watch it.
Yeah. I didn't know that Roy Scheider was in there. So much I didn't know, all the layers. And the funny thing is, for a lot of the movie, I kept going, "What the fuck is happening? What is going on?" But that's all intentional. That you're supposed to be lost, just like Dustin Hoffman's character is, to what's
Right.
going
He has
on.
no reason to be in this movie at all. He's literally just running a training to run a marathon. That's pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah. And just because of his brother, though.
Yes.
His brother is caught in this huge conspiracy with, what is it, Nazi diamonds that have been hidden forever. And Laurence Olivier is this legendary like torture guy that used to work in the camps. And
He's like
he's
the
been,
white angel of death or something.
yeah, and he's been hiding what, Bolivia or something like that for the last couple decades. And he comes to America to get these diamonds, which he is unbelievably obsessed with. It is so I have to see this again because sometimes I question what is going on because I don't understand why he would do the things that he does. Fast forward a little bit. Why the fuck does he even go into the jewelry stores? What does it matter?
No, he did explain that because I was thinking the exact same thing, but he did mention while he was torturing Dustin Hoffman that because he's so far behind now, like trying to get the jewels back, he has to go to each store to try to figure out what the going price is for the diamonds he's about to get, so he knows how much to charge for them, so he can guess how much money he's going to make.
Oh, okay, the charging
Why he
part.
chose to do that
Yeah.
and expose himself to risk instead of having one of his underlings do it, that I don't know.
Well, were his underlings dead by this point? I feel like they were.
Oh, good question. No, he wouldn't. They were, but he wouldn't have known that at the time. He could have asked them, but he didn't.
That's true. So yeah, so you spend the first half of the movie is you think Roy Scheider is number two. Yes, Dustin Hoffman's on the poster, but it's so focused on his character. So much of the exciting stuff happens with him, and then when they take him out halfway through the fucking movie, and this is after Jaws, it must have felt like they did with Psycho when they took out Janet Leigh. You're like, holy shit, they killed this guy who was just in the biggest movie of all time that you spent so much time with. That must have shocked everybody.
Yeah, and I also love just like how much mindfuckery the movie keeps doing. Like every time you think you understand what's happening, it keeps twisting. Like even little things like the person Dustin Hoffman is dating, saying that she's French.
Yeah.
And he's not sophisticated enough to understand or detect accents, so her accent's very off. And so when he goes out with his brother and brings his girlfriend along, he immediately clocks her as German. He's like, okay, something's wrong with this. And so then you're like, okay, was she doing that for, like, because she said she had a reason why she was pretending not to be German. It's like, is she lying to him? Like, what's real? What isn't? Like, what's going on? Does it have anything to do with what his brother is up to? Because his brother's not explaining what he's doing. And yeah, it just keeps like twisting like that. It's so good.
That's actually my favorite scene in the movie because it's so
mine too.
Calm and cool, but Roy Scheider knows instantly, and he's controlling every single turn in that scene, down to manipulating her emotions and his brother's emotions when he puts his hand on hers. And it seems like he's, trying to hit on her or flirt with her in some way, and then just starts slowly questioning. At first, you think that he's just interested. Oh, you're in love with my brother. Let's get to know you. But he has ulterior motives. And when I rewound the scene, because it was so good, I had to watch it again. You see the little flints of, okay, this is where he's going to go. This is where he's going to go. And it's only, 5 minutes? But that's why he's Roy fucking Scheider, one of the most underrated actors. Like,
well, what I also love about that scene too, it's like the first time these two worlds clash, where the one half is just the brother, it does not been just kind of going through college and training to run a marathon and doing all these, and in love with his girlfriend, and then there's also like this espionage spy thriller, and then this is where it clashes, and that's just, I think that's partly why and what makes that scene so good.
Yeah, and then it switches over once Roy Scheider is dead, it becomes a almost horror film.
It was a horror film before that. Like when he was supposed to meet up with a contact, realizing, oh shit, it's like she's walking towards him realizing it's not safe. We're being followed. I don't know by who. And so then as she's walking by, he's like, it's not safe, it's not safe, it's not safe. And so she keeps walking. And then she just walks into the darkness. and then out of the darkness, like a soccer ball is just kicked towards him.
Oh, yeah.
What that means, I have no fucking idea, but I was terrified.
Yeah. But then it'd be like, you have the classic torture scene, but there's so much more than that. There's this whole sequence where they set up that he's going to be rescued by William Devane, who's like friends with his brother, who's a government agent, and they had already met, so they established some sort of relationship that he was a good guy, and it was all a setup. But then it's just constant, like, okay, so wait, is he part of? He's helping the bad guys, but is he part of that crew? Is he's helping the Nazi? But then there's that whole thing at the end where he just opens fire on his crew, whatever, and then you're like, is it because he wants the diamonds for himself? What is he doing? Everybody's playing everybody, and you are riding with Dustin Hoffman the entire fucking time of like, oh my God, what's next?
Yeah, I also just like in those little details too, like when he's when he's doing the fake saving situation where he gets him into the car. It's like, keep your head down, but he's telling him to keep his head down so he doesn't notice that he's driving him in circles.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get information out of him. So I love those little details like that.
And then there's the final confrontation at the end. Well, hold on. Let me rewind a little bit. When he's at the jewelry store, slowly people are starting to get some weird, like, I recognize him, but from what?
He's in the heart of the Jewish district in New York. Yeah, you probably shouldn't be walking around like that.
Yeah, and of course, he has changed his appearance. He put on glasses. He shaved off his mustache, I think, and then shaved his head, which Laurence Olivier really did. He really did shave his head for the role. Which, that's why he's the world's greatest actor.
He's Method Man.
I would have Method Man. Oh yeah. Now if this had been a Wu-Tang Clan movie, no. But I honestly wish that there hadn't been a showdown with Dustin Hoffman at the end. I wish they had tore him
that's kind
apart.
of the only blemish on this movie. It was too Hollywood, too over the top.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of terrifying though when the guy reaches for him, he pops that blade out and slits his throat, and you're like, that's how he killed Roy Scheider. I mean, you never really knew before. You had a suspicion, but you weren't sure. But I wish they had all got him and tore him apart.
That would have been an amazing ending. Yeah. I would have loved that.
Yeah, and then, but I do like the fact that he's like, fuck you, eat these diamonds. You want these? Swallow them. He swallows one, and you think, okay, this is how he's going to die. He's going to tear his guts up. And that shit cuts glass. And he just swallows one. He's like, fuck you, give them to me. I mean, he's in horrible pain just from one. And, then he gets what he got coming to him, and he falls on his own blade. I love that. I didn't even expect it, even though, in retrospect, that's a very easy thing to do when you have a pop-out spring-loaded blade.
You're falling down the stairs with a knife in your hand. You're probably going to impale yourself.
It
is a little anticlimactic, and because like they try to make it too big, and it's beyond the scope of this character of Dustin Hoffman. Yeah. He's not a superhero. He's not an FBI agent. He doesn't belong in this sort of movie, so it is kind of a weird divergence.
I'm going to say someone saw Straw Dogs. What Peckinpah saw in Dustin Hoffman to get him for Straw Dogs is beyond me, but you know that they saw Straw Dogs and said he can do this.
Yeah, I mean Dustin Hoffman does have that range where he's just, can play both sides of that character, but they just didn't develop that enough to make that ending like earned. It just felt like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So of the four, what's your favorite?
Ooh. Oh, that's rough. This is a good one because there's so like I'm like in a three-way tie. If I had to, I think Report to the Commissioner edges out just a little bit because that's the one that I like most would want to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I think now that you know what's coming after the first 20 minutes, half hour, whatever, I think you'll enjoy it more. That's my absolute go-to. I still think
because it also makes me want to go back because like, okay, I wasn't really paying close attention to the first 20 because I was a little bored, but now that I know where it goes, what can I learn now that I know where it's going? That kind of makes me want to go back.
All right, so that is the end of this episode, everybody. Thank you, Kersey. That was, like I said, epic. We haven't done one like this since we did those horror marathons where we did like all the Freddys and all the Jasons and stuff like that.
No, this was a great one. I loved all of these.
All right, everybody, have a good one. Thank you.